Manipulation. It's a word we hear a lot, right? And it can feel like this super complex, invisible force. But what if I told you it wasn't? What if there's actually a playbook, a set of core strategies that manipulators pretty much always fall back on? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and take a look at that exact playbook. So let's just start with a really direct question. Are you being manipulated? I mean, it can be almost impossible to tell when you're in the middle of it, right? Our goal here is to give you the tools to get some clarity, to help you spot the patterns behind all the tactics, so you can finally answer that question for yourself. And what's kind of fascinating, really, is that manipulation isn't some secret dark art. Nope, it's actually a learned human behavior. Just think about it for a second. Even as little kids, we figure out how to, bend the truth to get an extra cookie. As we get older, those same basic tactics, they just get a lot more sophisticated. Look, it is so easy to get lost in like a giant list of dozens of different manipulative tricks. It's overwhelming. So instead of doing that, we're going to bring some order to all that chaos. We're going to really explore the fundamental art of manipulation by getting right to its core. And here is the key insight, the big idea. Most manipulative tactics, they're not random at all. They actually fall into just a few core strategies, or as we're calling them, playbooks. And once you understand the playbook, spotting the individual plays, it becomes almost second nature. All right, so here they are, the 3 core playbooks we're going to walk through. Number 1, distorting reality. Number 2, wielding emotional weapons. And number 3, imposing isolation and control. Let's dive right into that first one. Okay, first up, playbook number 1, distorting reality. This is arguably the most insidious set of tactics out there because it's not an attack on what you do, it's a direct attack on your mind. The entire goal here, the whole point, is to make you doubt yourself. Seriously, to make you question what you saw with your own eyes, what you heard with your own ears, and what you know deep down to be true. It creates this fog of confusion, and that's where the manipulator steps in to take control. And the cornerstone of this playbook is a tactic I'm sure we've all heard of by now, gaslighting. Its whole purpose is to systematically make you believe that your perception of reality is just fundamentally flawed. And it's so incredibly effective because it exploits one of our most basic human needs, the need to trust our own senses. Think about this really simple example. Let's say you have 5 Easter eggs. They take 1, and then they try to convince you there were only ever 4 to begin with. See? It's not just them denying they took 1. It's an actual attempt to rewrite your memory. That's a direct assault on your sense of reality. And then, of course, there's projection. This one's a classic. You call them out for being manipulative, and what happens? Bam! Suddenly, you're the one who's being manipulative. You're the one who's gaslighting them. They take their own bad behavior and just throw it right onto you to dodge any and all responsibility. Okay, so that brings us to the second playbook, wielding emotional weapons. And if that first playbook was a full-on attack on your mind, well, this one is an attack on your heart. The whole strategy here is to weaponize your own feelings against you. A manipulator will literally take your ability to feel guilt, your sense of shame, and your deepest insecurities, and turn them into tools to control you. Now here's a really subtle but super important difference between 2 classic tactics, shaming and guilt tripping. Okay, so shaming is all about the past. It punishes you for something you've already done. But guilt tripping? That's all about the future. It's trying to control what you're about to do. This next one is particularly nasty. They find what makes you feel insecure, and then they frame their acceptance of it as some kind of special gift. You ever hear that phrase, I love you despite that? What that really implies is that no one else ever could or would love you with that flaw, which makes you feel totally dependent on them for any validation at all. And hey, don't ever mistake a sudden burst of anger for just, a simple loss of temper. A totally disproportionate, explosive reaction to something really minor, that is often a very calculated tactic. It's designed to create fear and keep you constantly walking on eggshells, absolutely terrified to do anything that might set them off again. And that brings us to our final and honestly, often the most dangerous playbook of all, isolation and control. This is the endgame. This is where the manipulator really moves in to consolidate all of their power over you. The ultimate goal here is to completely sever your support network. So why? Well, it's because your friends and your family, they offer perspective. They're the ones on the outside who can see what's really happening and sound the alarm. By cutting you off from them, the manipulator makes sure their voice is the only one you hear. And they use a few key plays to make this happen. First, they'll frame your loved ones as threats, trying to create this us against the world mentality. Then they might use triangulation, where they turn your friends against each other, forcing everyone to choose sides. And of course, they might launch smear campaigns, spreading rumors to poison your reputation so you feel like you have absolutely nowhere else to turn. So how does this whole process usually start? Often it's with something called love bombing. It's this intense, overwhelming flood of love and attention that makes you feel like, wow, I found my soulmate. But Then, once they feel secure, that fire hose of affection just shuts off. It vanishes, and it leaves you desperate to get it back, willing to do just about anything to get back to that incredible initial high. Okay, so understanding these playbooks is a huge first step, but really, the most important question is, what do you do about it? How do you defend yourself? Well, let's open up the defensive toolkit. There are 3 really simple but incredibly powerful defensive moves you can make. First one, be firm. Seriously, this isn't about winning an argument. It's about stating your position clearly and holding that boundary, no matter what. Second, back away. Create some distance, whether that's physical or emotional, just to break their sphere of influence. And third, and this one is so critical, get an outside opinion. Talk to someone you trust who is not in the situation. Their perspective can be the absolute lifeline you need. Ultimately, awareness is your greatest shield. It really is. Just understanding these playbooks gives you the power to see the game that's being played. So the only question left is, now that you can see it, what's going to be your next move?